Redditors who have worked around death burial, what's your best ghost story? Left and leaving. I worked within hospice and long-term care. The spookiest phenomenon was the man in the corner. It happens all the time for people actively dying. They see a shadowy man in the corner of their room. My grandfather was extremely sick in the days leading up to his death. He'd worked with asbestos for all his working life and had an extremely debilitating form as a result of it. He couldn't speak, and he hadn't spoken for a month leading up to his death. He couldn't even communicate. When my father worked at a mortuary, there was one incident where the muscles contracted so that the head turned and looked at him through the little window. The only time he ever felt spooked working there. Citrine B. Honestly, the only creepy thing that happened when I worked in the morgue is that one of the staff killed himself in there, and I just can't imagine wanting to die in this cold, gray place surrounded by corpses. Cosmocomics. I love stories of people talking to ghosts. My childhood home was haunted, and the door to my grandparents' living room would crack open very slightly on its own. My granddad would always say something like, "Come on in and sit down, mate," and the door would open further and my grandma would yell at him. K. Bell. My grandpa died in our basement. We'd hear the basement door open, the fridge doors open, the smell of bacon, eggs. All we'd have to say is, "Sam, stop trying to scare us." I love nice ghosts. Chemistry least. I used to be a driver for a funeral home corporation. Like, drive the hearse and pick up the bodies. Never had anything creepy happen, a few funny things, a few traumatic things. In general it was a chill job. Poem for your sprog. I waited up. I watched to see if you would rise and speak to me. To tell me there was some mistake. I waited up. You didn't wake. When my cousin was 18 he was in a bad wreck and him, his girlfriend and her sister were all pronounced dead at the scene. The police arrived to inform my aunt, his mom, and she asked that he be sent to a specific funeral home. While they were preparing to embalm him he raised up and asked, "Where the hell am I?" The funeral director said it was the first time he ever had to go home and change pants. Sleepwalks. My roomie best bud is a mortician, and I'm around the funeral home a fair amount myself and know the staff pretty well. I've spent the night there before. Nothing weird happens there. Jeweler, Georgia. My sister worked as a nurse on the heart patient floor of our local hospital in the 90s. Many of the patients who were near death would see a man sitting in a chair near their bed. B had a gigantic growth on his head like a tumor. This was a former patient who'd died in the room many years prior. Elphaba. The day my mum passed away, we were all gathered around her bed, waiting for the moment. My fiancé's sister, mom, and baby nephew showed up to offer their support. At 3:32 p.m. Mum passed away. I went out to see them and my fiancé's sister said, "You'll never believe this, a few minutes ago, Noah was on the floor playing and he suddenly looked up and smiled, waved, and said, 'Bye-bye.' He'd done that at 3:32 p.m. Extreme QWERTY. I've heard of children being able to see spirits and beings that we adults don't see. My former boss told me when she was 3 years old, she saw angels, complete with wings, come and lift her dying mother up out of bed and through the ceiling. Her older sisters insisted she was making it up until she was able to recount in detail events from that day. Sweet World. The days after my mom passed 7 years ago, her sister, my aunt, texted us saying her daughters, my mom's nieces, had said they saw Aunt Kelly sitting on the couch and didn't know why their mom was crying 'cause Aunt Kelly was right there. It went on for a few months. It was creepy but also comforting knowing my mom was just hanging at my aunt's house for a bit after she passed. Ronti C. Not a worker in that field. But when my dad was in the hospital, I turned off the ringer on my phone and fell asleep. About 1 a.m., I heard the doorbell ring. I got up. No one was at the door. I walked around the house and saw absolutely nothing. I checked my phone and turned on the ringer. Almost immediately the hospital called to tell me my dad had died and would it be okay to harvest some of his organs for transplant. Giuseppe. My grandpa passed away in October. The night he died my uncle, his son, woke startled to a rattling noise. He said, "You can come in, Dad," as a bit of a joke referring to the noise possibly being my grandpa asking to haunt them. As soon as he said it, the dog downstairs started barking like crazy at the front door. Uncle Dude. I saw the ghost of a small boy with a yellow and red striped shirt in the back of an old ambulance, and I've attended about 1,000 or so deaths. I've always felt like I had a sense of when their souls left or they were still there. Efficient hat. I was in ICU and delivered my stillborn son at 29 weeks in August. His name was Henry. I'm going to take this as a good sign that someone was there to get him the night he was born. Thank you for posting this. Devious Diesel. I worked in a morgue. One time one of the bodies sat up, looked at me and then died again. I don't know what happened that day, but I quit and now do construction. Fappy Day. This happened to a friend's father when he was younger. When he and his supervisor were leaving for the night, they had left the keys to the building in the morgue. He goes down to get the keys and a body under a sheet sits up and starts moaning. He ran out screaming and his supervisor explained that this sometimes happens. Glasses escaping the body after death do some pretty weird things.